Today, Keir Starmer met with Donald Trump at the White House, and the press, eager to ask questions, quickly turned to JD Vance's comments on the UK suppressing free speech. The vice president stepped in to set the record straight. But at the end of the clip, Keir Starmer's response, it's, well, pretty embarrassing. In today's video, we will watch this along with the bombshell dropped by Nigel Farage in the Parliament. But before we dive in, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Take a look at this.
Two more. Yes, ma'am.
In his remarks at the Munich Security Conference, Vice President Vance condemned free speech violations in the UK. Particularly, could you respond? What is your message?
I have an idea. We have the man right here. Come on. Let's go, JD. We're putting you on stage.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
I don't know what country you're living in, Starmer, but free speech is a huge issue here. Stop lying. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. In other news, Nigel Farage spoke passionately and with real sense in Parliament, tearing into the negligence of the two union parties. Farage didn't hold back. He ripped into them and even proposed an idea that had many MPs furious. Take a look at this.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have to say, as an elected representative of a very young political party, I watched this game going on between the two old parties and find it difficult to conclude that it's anything other than a complete and utter charade. Whilst I agree with the Right Honourable Member from Whittam, who made the argument this is British sovereign territory, there is nothing to be gained, literally nothing to be gained by giving it away, and I see the benches behind her cheering, but this was the party that went through, as we heard earlier, 11 rounds of negotiations. The Conservative government was happy to surrender the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, but didn't like the final shape of the deal. And then we go on to the government, who tell us this has to be done because of legal uncertainty. But of course, there is no legal uncertainty whatsoever. And you know, you can shake your heads if you want, but you know I'm right. The ICJ has no jurisdiction over this whatsoever. So why are we doing it? Well, I guess, of course, post-colonial guilt, a government run by human rights lawyers. Beyond that, I really don't understand it. But you know something? I made a comment earlier about the cost. I promise you, 90 million a year for 99 years with £3, with 3% compounded inflation is £52 billion. That, of course, is madness. And members of this House have been saying, why are we not debating health or other issues? Well, 50 billion quid is a very good reason to debate this. I've tried in this House and elsewhere to make these arguments. I've explained that China already has a smart city right next to Port Louis. I've explained that Huawei are the communication system. You can see now, of course, that Prime Minister Modi is worried on missing out on the action. There is a 200-mile marine park which potentially has cobalt and other mineral resources that could be worth tens, perhaps even hundreds of billions of pounds over the next few years, and we're prepared to give it all away. And the timing of this debate's perfect, because the Prime Minister is mid-Atlantic as we speak. Now, I have spoken in the course of the last week to American cabinet ministers, and whilst they're concerned about Chagos, they're even more concerned about bringing an end to the war in Ukraine, which I think we're all very, very keen to see, provided that it's on the right terms. There is also going to be a big debate about tariffs. So here's the point. Chagos is not especially high on the American agenda at the moment. I would love to see the American administration veto this terrible deal. But I'm not even sure then that this government will move its position. They are clearly hell-bent on giving away the Chagos Islands, whatever the risks to global security, whatever the risks to our own budgetary constraints, and having ignored completely the will of the majority of the Chagosian people. If that's the case, I would rather see America have the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands than a corrupt Mauritius. Why don't we, if we're going to give this up, let's sell. Let's get a few billion quid for the Mauritius Islands, for the Chagos Islands. Mauritius has no legal basis, no legal claim, and you know what? Investment would come. The Chagosians could go back and get well-paid jobs. I want us to keep sovereignty, but if you're prepared to give away this country's interests, sell it to America, don't give it away to corrupt Mauritius.
Anna Geldod.
What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below, and make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content.